Yo, yo, yo. What's good? What's good? What do you think consciousness is? It is the eternal foundation of reality. I don't even like the way I said that. It's everything. Have I read Carl Jung's idea of consciousness? Is that the name of a book, or is that just are you asking? I mean, I've read some Jung. Um, Materialism is kooky and leads to all sorts of nonsense. Yes, I agree. Yeah, yeah. BYN. Yes, I understand. Yes, I would say the same thing. Consciousness is the same as awareness, perception through the six senses. No, I don't think senses are required for consciousness. They're certainly a nice accoutrement or accessory, but I don't think they are a requirement. Now, if you want to move around in the world, then yeah, your senses would be required, generally speaking. Nah, you're not late, bro. I just started. I just started 5 minutes ago. You would argue that we haven't even defined what consciousness is. Yeah, look, when people say this, I disagree. You can go to the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, type in consciousness into the search bar, go to section 2. Section 2 gives all the different definitions of consciousness. Usually, what people mean when they say that is that we don't have a scientific reduction or an explanation of consciousness, which is obviously true. And the thing about consciousness is you cannot explain it in terms of anything else because it is that which explains everything else. Um, so like, yeah, it's we have definitions. We don't have a scientific reduction. That's what we don't have. Epiphenomenalist? No, I'm not an epiphenomenalist. What makes me come to this conclusion? Um, it's kind of a long story. I guess like stick around. You know, you just have to see me suss it out. Like people will come up and debate and all that kind of stuff. If all five senses were gone, what would existence be like? I don't know. I don't know. I think it would still be there though. How convinced am I of analytical idealism? I'm not like convinced of anything. I think I'm convinced of what's definitely not true. And what's definitely not true is like materialism. And that being said, like there's only a few options left on the table after you get rid of that. And so, I just think idealism is probably like the least wrong option out of the rest. Yeah, I don't need backup. I need opposition. Jet set. Oh, you can break the theory with one sentence? I'm sure. It's going to be something stupid. Oh, you fucking brain damage. I'm trying to disprove years of research on the brain with a random statement. No, I'm not. There is no research that concludes this scientifically. That's not a thing. That doesn't exist. Go look. Where am I asserting that it comes from? I'm not asserting that it comes from anywhere. How can you tell the difference between actual and simulated consciousness? I don't know what simulated consciousness is even supposed to mean there. Exactly. There is no theory. Do you think any personal continuity survives death? Me personally, no, I don't think so. Yes, my ceiling fan is on. The fuck? AI can look like conscious. Oh, you mean okay? I mean, look, AI is not really a simulation of consciousness per se. Like I don't even know what that means, but it's a simulation of language, of human reasoning abilities, something like that. Are animals conscious in a way that is analogous to humans? I would say yes, absolutely. Obviously, they don't have like complex emotions. I think they do have emotions, but they're not like these sort of existential emotions like us. And obviously, they don't have like access to complex concepts and things. But yeah, there is definitely something it's like to me and my dog. She can absolutely suffer. Um,
Howdy, can you hear me?
yeah, hey, what's up?
I
Oh,
might not
big echo.
necessarily. My bad. Can I fix this?
Yeah, you got to turn
Is it
your
better?
volume down.
I'm stupid. My bad. Is it better?
Test, test, test. No.
Oh wait.
Do you
Okay.
have? Are you
Give me a
using an
sec.
external mic or something?
Maybe. Let me unjoin, and I'll try to fix it. My bad.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, we can't.
How
We
do I
can't.
leave?
I
I'm not
got you.
doing
I
that.
got you. I got you. God. The torture, chat. The torture. Um, if it doesn't come from the brain and you aren't asserting where it comes from, then there's no argument. That's not true. That's not how arguments work. Right? I can say that it doesn't come from the brain because the brain is not demonstrated as being a necessary and sufficient explanation of consciousness, meaning there is nothing about brains that should, would, or could give rise to consciousness. There are plenty of alternative potential explanations. I don't need to assert one, right? Like, and when I say there is nothing about a brain that should, would, or could give rise to consciousness, what I mean by that is that it's a category error to expect subjective phenomenon to pop out of, to emerge from objective phenomenon like physical processes. Anybody's welcome to come up. I can explain everything. Is consciousness derivative? No. I'm trying to keep up with the comments, guys. There's a lot coming. Let's see. A lot of them are just gibberish. Sorry. I gotta pick through them. Do I have any takes to overcome anxiety? Yeah, breathe. Literally, breathe. Sorry. I mean, it's that simple. It really is. Now, that's not to say that I never have anxiety or something like that, but do I think that the brain restricts consciousness? I think that this is a fair metaphor that we can use. But I don't think that that's literally true. No. No, but I think it's an okay metaphor.
Is my mic better?
Test test. Yes.
Let me know if you have anything. So I mean, I don't know how much I'm gonna be able to say because it seems like you're an idealist. Something like that. You're not an epiphenomenalist.
Correct. Actually, your mic is not better, but we can try. We'll see.
I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on with my phone.
Okay, so what's your position?
Well, can you hear me enough?
Yeah, it's just kind of painful, but we can try, like I said. What kind of phone you got, dude? What's going on over there?
Well, I don't know. It's my headphones and it's like the echo. Like I have a perfectly functional phone. It's just scuffed. Let me give it.
Tell you what, see if you can get that figured out.
Wait. Is this better?
Test. No.
Is this better?
No.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Nah, it's okay. Just disconnect your headphones or something. I don't.
Yeah. All right. I'm sorry. I'll leave again.
All right, bro. Get the fuck out of here.
Yo, how's it going?
Hey, what's up?
Nothing much. Name's Daryl. Nice to meet you. I just came across your page and I just saw the pop up and I was very interested in it. I was actually having a thought earlier today that I'm curious of your input on. I don't know what your background is.
Were
but,
you having a thought, or was a thought having you? No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Sorry.
So my thought was the idea that consciousness is everything that we cannot articulate as ours. So I was in this conversation with myself. It's like, okay, if I'm trying to articulate what consciousness is, I couldn't say, okay, I can't say it's my thoughts because I'm giving ownership to it. I can't even say my being, can't even say my essence. And so I kept trying to strip away everything I could say my to. And then I was like, what's left over? And I was like, honestly, you just be left with the ability to observe, experience, and maybe articulate a response to what you're experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, I got to the point where I concluded that I think that consciousness is just a script that tells us who we are, that we replay over and over again.
Well, that's what the self is, right? That's what your identity is. It's like like a stable pattern of experience that's kind of held together by like your belief in it. I wouldn't say that's what consciousness is necessarily, but we might just be defining terms differently. Like when you say consciousness, like
yeah, I think I want to make a clear distinction between ego, because I feel like the ego and the other thing that's on the opposite of the ego, they're very similar to each other. They both have a sense of identity. It's just one is more identity with the all that's left over after the individual self. Right?
okay, mm-hmm, sure,
So
maybe.
So for me, it's like when I talk about consciousness, I'm talking about the other side of ego, whatever we want to articulate, that feminine air energy, whatever you want to call that. That's what I kind of look at as consciousness. It's not only like awareness, but well, it is kind of only awareness, which is my thought.
I mean, I don't know if I don't know. I would say on the other side of ego is impersonal awareness. But that's just me. Like I don't know.
Okay, I see how that game could be played. Of like, okay, ego is about me versus it being about the collective.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Something like that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I processed this. I had to write down on paper like all the things that I associate with ego. So like I associate masculinity with ego. and then I associate femininity with intuition, empathy, and like awareness.
What kind of supplements
I
you got, bro?
say again.
What kind of supplements you got? Got a supplement company or something?
Yeah, I'm a shaman, so I make medicinal mushroom supplements for terminal illness.
Oh, okay. I was just
Yeah,
curious
so
because I was trying to look at your page and see what you got
yeah,
going
no,
on.
my page has been banned multiple times. So this is like just a burner account. But if you want to go to my website, yeah, anyone that's going through any type of healing, I can't say much, but 'cause I keep
Yeah,
getting
yeah,
blocked.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We don't want to. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
but medicinal non-psychedelic mushrooms. We grow them on our reservation, and the main ingredient is actually a mushroom that hasn't been discovered yet. So,
hmm. Okay.
yeah, got it. But I put the link in. I put the website on the page.
Okay. Cool.
Uh,
Yeah. So, okay. Tell me, like, give me the gist of like what you're trying to get to. I
just
do have to
just
have a
just like
debate.
getting to the idea of what consciousness is in its core. It's like
Hmm.
when I was having this thought, I was just thinking that consciousness is like, okay, I grew up religious, not religious anymore, but it brought back to the scripture of, and John, it said, in the beginning was the word, and the word was God. So,
Hmm.
and when I got back to my high thought, where I was like, what if consciousness is just like, and then maybe make sure I'm articulating this as well, of like consciousness and the soul, right? Because I think sometimes my brain tries to blur those two together. Because I would say the soul is a script of telling ourselves, giving us an identity subconsciously, and then we're trying to figure out consciously maybe that we had this purpose, or we have this something that maybe positions me into the universe in a harmonious way, and your ego is trying to identify that, but the other side of that kind of already walks into life knowing that. So it's like, what is that? And
Hmm.
so for me, when I got back to my thinking, I was like, okay, it's the script that we're constantly telling ourselves of who we are, and it replays and it updates, and we take stuff out sometimes and replace it and everything. But it's really just words. At the end, if you strip away everything that you would say is mine and put it like my thoughts, my essence, my passion, my purpose, you strip away all the my's, all you're left is like a story.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so it puts the
Yep.
idea that all consciousness is a story. And that was the
Well,
idea that I wanted to
no,
challenge.
I mean, no, I don't. Again, I'm not sure exactly how you're like defining the word. I mean, I think all the self all the ego is a story, but consciousness is not a concept, right? Consciousness is not like a memory. Consciousness is not like an identity statement. Consciousness is that which those identity statements, those concepts, those memories rise and fall within. Consciousness is that which precedes all of the storytelling. It's the storytelling existing within the realm, the field of subjectivity, if you will. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, I do. I think so. Let me ask you this. So, like, when
Maybe
in the process
awareness
of humans being
is a
born
better
or
word.
being, I'm sorry, say it again.
Maybe awareness is a better word of what I'm referring to.
Yes, and this is thing. I think this is a conversation that hasn't been had enough of, like, truly defining these words between, like, the difference between, like, awareness and consciousness. Because, and then also I find myself when I'm trying to describe consciousness, I feel like I end up describing a soul accidentally.
Hmm.
Um, so it makes me think that sometimes they are interchangeable. Not saying they are. I haven't had
Yeah, I
a
mean,
good
I
time chewing
think
on it.
I think that soul traces back to the word psyche. And yeah, I just think they're the same thing. I don't believe in like individual souls or anything like that necessarily. I think there's one soul in a sense, and
Okay,
that it just
I
is.
believe that as well. I believe that as well. It's like it's a weird phenomenon because it's like I do believe that we're all coming from a same soul that's just been cut up into billions of pieces,
Hmm.
and we're each experiencing a different camera
It's
angle
just a
of this
mind.
collective field.
That's all it
Yeah,
is. Yeah.
sure. A
Hmm.
field, that's what I call it, in a way that's scientific enough to kind of reach all the ears.
Hmm.
Um, so yes, I agree with that. But it's also this weird thing of like, if this has to be some type of super mind, if it's able to have so many individual archetypes, so much that you can classify into things as individual. Like the fact that you're you and I'm me, but yet we're made from the same cloth. It's like,
Hmm.
so go, how big is the damn cloth? Like, how extravagant is the cloth?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I actually think it's just really simple. I don't think it needs to be. I think that the complexity comes with you, not before you. if
Okay,
that
wait.
makes
This goes back
sense.
to my original question. Then the question that I was going to ask, like, where do you think consciousness, or when do you think consciousness or awareness gets inserted into the process of making humans? Like, do you believe that, like,
I don't think it
uh,
gets inserted. I think everything is consciousness.
naturally?
Ultimately, yeah, natural impersonal consciousness is
So
everything.
our natural
That's
state,
what
would it be
makes
the
up
dream state?
everything. Hmm?
Would you envision like the natural state, the dream state, and then this material state is the illusion?
You could say it like that. Yeah.
Okay, I don't
Um,
mind that.
yeah. You could say it like that. So it ultimately, in reality, there is nothing but this consciousness,
Right.
displaying differently depending on where you look from. And so it's not something that's inserted into the human process. The human process just is a process of consciousness. It is something that consciousness is doing naturally, of course.
Hmm.
You
What
don't
do you think
have
makes
consciousness, it has you.
Yes? What do you think probed consciousness to want to materialize into matter?
I don't think it wanted to. I just think that's something it does. It's just and plus matter is not like this independently existing thing. It's just an appearance that exists like relative to an observer. So
Right.
matter doesn't exist on its own for its own. It's just
Right.
relative appearance,
I can get behind that. It's a feature of living
perception.
and as awareness.
Hmm.
Basically, is what I'm hearing. I've
Yeah.
never heard it this way though, but you're basically describing it as like if awareness was an animal, you're describing it as just its natural function of being, basically, which is but also you have to pose the idea of like, okay, that means but there are some souls that choose to not incarnate. Do you believe that?
Yeah, no, I don't do any of that kind of storytelling. I try to
Okay.
stick to the bare minimum. My thing is like very reductive on purpose because I think parsimony is important. So I don't talk about souls. I don't talk about God. I don't talk about any kind of like personal continuation after death, or I don't talk about anything that I can't like directly argue for. You know what I'm saying,
That's
or
kind of I
justify.
actually like that. I don't meet many people like that. I'm kind of the same way. I'm like an alchemist, so like I do believe in spiritual principles, but only after I can attach them and find a pattern through science. So if
Hmm.
I can't describe it through science, I don't call it
Well, I don't
anything.
give a shit about science. I mean, I like science, but I just mean like I don't necessarily need. I'm not an empiricist. Like, so it doesn't have to be scientific or whatever. I don't even have any logical reason to believe in
Hmm.
like a personal like ego after death continues on
Hmm.
in a soul
Hmm.
like fashion or whatever.
Okay, now I'm a little more curious. Where do your well, I'm curious to hear more about what your belief is. I kind of just jumped in after I just saw the title.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm an idealist. It just means everything is consciousness, universal
So
consciousness.
okay, you believe that everything is consciousness. Do you believe in purpose?
It depends. It depends on what you mean. Like if you mean purpose as if like the universe has a purpose in and of itself. Um
Something at a higher design, like the idea of God is the idea that like a mechanism cannot define itself, only a mechanism outside of that self can define it.
mhm.
So it's like you can't, it's like the idea that, okay, if I was made by something, then that thing that made me had an intention in mind behind why it made me.
Yeah, no, I don't think any yeah, I don't have any reason to posit that kind of a
Gotcha. So you
purpose.
don't you don't believe you don't think there's any intelligence behind creation.
No. Mm-mm.
Interesting.
No, it's just
Interesting.
natural, man. It's just something that is
Just
happening
natural.
naturally.
Just
Hmm.
something that's happened. So like, so you believe order can come from chaos.
Well, I mean, ultimately, in my thesis, nothing came from anything because time isn't even real. But we have the appearance of order coming from chaos. And actually, I would probably redefine those terms. I think what we call order is actually chaos, and chaos is actually order, but that's a whole different subject.
I can get behind that. Mind you, I remember I'm a shaman, so like my home address is more in a everything included field, and then I had to teach myself the individual lane. So when you talk about like that, that actually resonates more home than the latter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But what I'm curious of, I've never heard someone articulate consciousness without God. and
Yep.
and I try to do it because I believe that God is something that should be absolute enough
Well,
to
yeah,
be able
but
to
why
talk
you
about it
gotta
without
add it?
discussing it.
Why you gotta add an extra descriptor to it? It just is what you have direct experience with. It's what you're experiencing right now. Why would we reify it and give it some other name and like give it a personality and all this kind of stuff?
I see. I think the reason why that happened is to give people training wheels who are trying to develop. Because I've realized that my ability as someone that started off in youth ministry and became a pastor and then got away from all of it, then went off grid for 3 years, became a shaman, everything. I've looked at it. The idea that I have right now that we're sharing together, it in my opinion, it comes with a certain level of spiritual maturity to be able to, like, even for me to be able to remove the personality out of God, and I kind of look at it now like a machine or like a
Hmm.
field. I believe that takes a level of spiritual
It
maturity.
does.
So I think
It
that
does.
the idea of God, look, if I'm reverse engineering it, it's like that would be there for people that have never fathomed something possibly outside of themselves.
Hmm.
Now, the difference is between, I believe, your idea and God versus most people's idea, or yeah, is that like most people have the idea of God for moments. As a therapist, this is what my experience would be. Most people use God for moments where they can't figure out the science of something. If something
Hmm.
happens that's too traumatic, and they can't figure out why it's happening, they like the idea. And this is why I say the reason why I believe God is a helpful tool just for being human, whether or not he religious or not, is that it gives you an opportunity to take the heaviness you're feeling inside of you and just give it up.
And I actually agree with that. I think there's probably good psychological benefit to believing, to even being religious and practicing ritual.
Mm.
Just personally, it's not for me. But I
So
mean,
do you think when you came into, I'm curious, did you always have this perspective of I'm still trying to label it properly because I don't know what
no, I didn't always have
uh
this perspective. No, I mean, I'm ethnically Jewish. Um,
okay.
but I was like kind of raised Christian in a sense,
Okay.
but it never really made sense to me. It always just seemed like human ego in a book.
Yeah.
At a really young age, I just like it was like abundantly
Mm.
clear to me for whatever reason. And so like no, I mean I just been a naive materialist probably for most of my life until I started really digging deep on these questions.
When did
Um,
that happen? Like
when
when did that switch happen? Where you took the pill?
probably um 2015, 2016.
So
I had a
11 years
tragedy.
ago.
I had a tragedy in the family, and so I did a lot of really
Mm.
deep thinking as a result.
Mm.
And start asking all these existential questions and things like that.
And what made you get to the point where you realized that consciousness is the highest priority or focus,
So
if it is for you?
yeah, I mean, I've as I've kind of been open minded. Like I've never really been dogmatic about any view my entire
Mm.
life. Like I've just been kind of like, yeah, I don't really know. Like I don't really know. Kind of just broadly
Mm.
agnostic about metaphysics or about religion or whatever. Um,
Mm.
and so like I've had some certain experiences that kind of revealed to me certain illusions that I had been carrying around or believing in
Mm.
from like most of my life. Brought like I've had like I don't know, man, a lot of experiences, and so of different variety, like different kinds of experiences too. And so um, it's been a cumulative effect, and then I have an interest in science and in philosophy, and when you go digging for certain answers and you realize that they're not there and actually it's the wrong question to be asking, it kind of
Mm.
just shifts the way you think about everything. Like
Correct.
it's the wrong question to ask, like how does physical matter give rise to consciousness? I just took that question for granted. I was like, yeah, like they don't quite have consciousness figured out yet, but one day they will. It's just because the brain is so complex. But then when you really dig into the philosophy of mind, you realize that's not true. Like the idea actually doesn't even make sense from the ground up. Like it's
Yeah, you,
foolish
you do
in a
get you,
sense.
you do get to a point on the journey where it's like you enter into new frameworks where you realize that questions don't even make sense anymore. Once you have the right answer, you're like, oh, I see how I was asking the wrong questions.
Hmm.
Um, so fundamentally, do you like, for example, do you believe in like the chakras?
Um, I think they're probably, I don't like disbelieve in them. I'm not somebody who's really well tuned on yogic philosophy, but I mean, I would say that, I don't know. I would just say I don't know, bro,
Okay,
to be honest.
heard.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you feel at peace with what you believe about life, how
I
it
think
works?
so. Yeah.
Okay. How would you teach somebody, like how would you, if I wanted to learn how to, what I, again, I'm having a hard time because I don't know how to label what you believe, but like if somebody wanted to get like learn more about how you believe what you believe, what are some books maybe, or like things that kind of help you reach the same conclusions that you did?
Yeah, I mean, are you familiar with like Rupert Spira? Do you know who that is?
Mm-mm.
He's a kind of a Western spiritual teacher. Um, so that's like the spiritual side of things, like any book he
Mm-hmm.
would write. But then the philosophical side of things, like Bernardo Kastrup, is a
Heard.
modern philosopher that talks about this kind of stuff. I would just send you in those directions.
Cool. And that's just like pure consciousness.
Yes. Hmm.
So where do you believe consciousness? Okay. So
Like I like shout out to the East, to the Vedas, to Hinduism, to Buddhism. What we're talking about here is non-duality. Um, um,
thanks.
and this goes like thousands of years back. I'm just giving you like the modern people that like you
Hmm.
can like that are still alive.
Hmm.
But these ideas are not new. They go way back, and it comes out of the East. So
Okay. So to summarize, so you believe that collective consciousness has split itself up into billions of pieces as its natural feature of it being that type of organism, and then we're all here experiencing this illusion of a 3D life, uh, just because.
yep.
Huh. That's funny.
The point is to
I'm trying to feel into that.
experience.
Huh?
The point is to experience. Even if there were some greater point or purpose, right? I would never claim to know what that is. It'd be like asking one neuron inside my brain, what is the point of its existence? It would have no clue, bro.
Okay, I would challenge that by saying I think that, well, just like how we talked about previously about how like getting to a certain point of consciousness is like a certain level of maturity. What I believe is that I believe in like 85% of what you're saying. I think I do have some pretty other radical ideas. Like I believe that we have two parents. So that in the idea of God, I believe that we would have two. I believe everything has two parents. So I consider like a masculine God and a feminine God. So like feminine God to me represents is nature. It's a thing that always constantly has always existed. And then I look at the masculine God as just the first conscious being ever in existence.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, I
so
mean that's cool, man. I mean you're allowed to believe whatever you want. Look. I don't have any reason to believe those kinds of things. Like I don't see any benefit that I would gain necessarily by inflating the story in such a way. You know,
um, I think some people have more questions than you sometimes, and the answers, and sometimes the
I
framework
have
of
the same questions, brother. I have the same questions. I just choose not to like make up answers. You know.
so in I'm curious about this. So like one, when I say not people have different questions, you articulate you came in with a certain level of maturity, which means you came in already as having certain answers that other people didn't have. But even within that, the way that science works is like you have to like hypothesize something and then run experiments and then collect results, right? So when you're asking, is like why it has benefit me, it's like, well, I'm very uncomfortable. Like eventually, at one point, I got uncomfortable with the idea of believing that, like going from believing that there is a God and but going away from the Christian God to the idea that there's possibly two gods. And I'm like, why would there be two gods? And I'm like, well, honestly, because it's more coherent because everything in existence has two parents outside of a 1% deep margin of error of things that can like seahorses that can produce by themselves asexually. But I'm like, most things have something that requires an X and a Y to create something new. Across the board of all things. So why would I believe that the thing that made all things was only one person and one guy? And then I started going down to like, okay, well, let's think about how the world works. It's more of a patriarchal idea. So it would maybe possibly like that. Of course, when everyone's thinking about what God would be, of course, it'd be a man, right? But then when I went into my Native American teachings, who believes more harmoniously with nature, God is more so Mother Nature. So God is more so feminine, and God is more so about taking care of everything and creating balance, right? So then I'm like, so we have two ideas. The famous question, what came first between the chicken or the egg? What I believe the answer to that is the chicken came first, but didn't know it was a chicken until it laid an egg. And what that answer does is that it creates two births. It creates the birth of the chicken that was always constantly there, and then it creates the birth of consciousness. Like, oh, I didn't realize I was something until I duplicated myself. And so to me, that's the full answer that I think no one's ever wanted to put together.
But I think all of that story, I think that entire story that you told is the result of thinking that time is real. I don't
think time is real. I don't think time is real, but I don't think real matters.
If time is not real, then there's no creation, brother.
But hear what I'm saying, though. When we say what real is, right? Like, my dreams aren't real, but my dreams still give me an experience. So it's like, what do we actually like when we're saying like I hear you, by the way. Like I sound like I just kind of I inflated the story and made it more simple more complicated than what you believe it needs to be. My argument is that some people need complicated stories, and I feel like the idea that just because a story is made more complex, what's wrong with that?
Well, just because
we're all just here being random.
Yeah, but I mean, like my goal is to be less confused. I think that simplicity is the main tool. Simplicity and skepticism is the main tool for accomplishing that goal. I think the more confused you are, the more you suffer. Like
I can see that kind of whole ignorance is bliss kind of thing. It's like where you want your stopping point to be, where you stop asking questions. Or you could be like me, someone like being a shaman.
It's not about
to find peace in the chaos.
It's not about stopping asking questions. It's about being okay with there being no definite answer.
Yeah, but how do you know that though?
I know that I don't have one. I don't know that there isn't.
Like you and I are chatting right now, right? And I just gave a hypothesis of the idea of there possibly being two gods. And I said, why? I said, because everything in nature reflects that. We have two parents. Animals have two parents. Plants have everything fertilizes something. There's always two things that have to come together. So why wouldn't I believe that whatever the field is, why wouldn't there be two? And then when I articulated the chicken or the egg scenario, where I said the chicken represents what would be.
Yeah, bro. I heard what you said. I mean, it just seems like anthropomorphization. But look, man, I'm not sure. Like, I think we agree on some things. I think we disagree on some things, and that's okay. But we're like way tangential to what the live is supposed to be about at this point. And I got 3 people in the guest box. Like typically what I do, yeah, I do debates about like consciousness and blah 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 whatever. So, but I appreciate you coming. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like mainly like trying to stick to the prompt here. I kind of humored it for a while, but yeah, come up again sometime. We can talk.
Sounds good, brother.
All right, peace out.
Peace out.
Shout out everybody in here. I appreciate the support. Thanks for being here. We got 100 people in the live. Tap the screen to boost it up a little bit more. One of these corners, you can click on repost. I would surely appreciate if you share the live, tap the screen, and drop me a subscribe. That's the best way to support me. Subscribe to me here and on the Red app. Hello. Hey, what's going on?
Not much. So, consciousness is not generated by the brain. So, could you elaborate on how this is true?
How the negation of a proposition is true. So, the affirmation of this proposition would be that consciousness is generated by the brain. I think this proposition is incoherent. I don't think there's any good theory that is able to demonstrate that effectively that doesn't result in some kind of true contradiction or circularity, vicious circularity.
Okay, so how do you explain dreams? Because that's your subconscious mind, right? And then you have your conscious mind, which is where you're at right now.
Bro, what? Dreams? What? What does that have to do with anything that I just said?
Okay, let's just assume you're right. Consciousness is not generated by the brain. So where is it generated from then?
Well, it's not generated, bro. It just exists. I don't need to propose an alternate hypothesis either, anyway. I mean, like, if you want to know my view, I'm an idealist.
Okay.
But that's not really what the live is about.
Okay, I'm just curious on your thoughts. So,
I think that
what a,
if it's not generated by the brain, this indicates that it's more fundamental to reality. And there's several different ways to talk about that.
okay, so when you go to bed and dream at night, you have these thoughts and these characters and all these ideas, and that's from your conscious brain or conscious state of mind, whatever. So where is that you go?
You haven't gone anywhere. Like, it's not like a different realm, bro. You're still in reality.
But you're not, though, at the same time.
I mean, what happens, what you're talking about is dissociation. So dreams are dissociative states, right? Dissociation is the phenomenon where one mind differentiates into a smaller, like, partitioned part of that mind. A big mind becomes smaller, right? That's where you are. You're in a smaller subsection of your own mind. That's where you are when you're dreaming.
True. But in my opinion, my belief is that we're here to obtain knowledge and understand and try to make it into a tangible idea so that we can transcend the state of consciousness.
Transcend the state of consciousness.
Will elevate and evolve consciousness.
Yeah, I mean, look, I do think that it's okay to say that you are the universe becoming aware of itself. I think that's totally fine. I'm not entirely sold on the idea that there is this teleological arc, like where everybody's going to reach like Christ consciousness at some point. I don't know. I don't know that to be the case. I have no real argument for that being the case. It's a possibility. It's logically possible. I don't know, bro. Like, I hate to be so like stiff with you, but I try to keep it like tucked in up here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're good. I think that is the ultimate goal, is to reach Christ consciousness, like everybody to reach that state. But to do that, there has to be like a great reset, and that continues to happen time and time again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, bro. I don't know. It's just speculation, right? Like,
Yeah, everything's speculation. The
Yeah.
smartest thing you can say is that you don't know.
yeah. Yep. Okay, man. Well, I appreciate you coming up.
Yeah, no problem. I just wanted to talk.
Take it easy, brother.
You too.
Eva's usually quick. Well, and then we'll go Nurse Cole. Thanks for being patient, Nurse Cole. We'll bring you up. Eva's usually quick. What's up, Eva?
Exactly. Not trying to do a gotcha or anything like that, but a couple of times last week, I heard you say that the brain was necessary but not sufficient for consciousness. I think I know what your answer will be, but can you explain to me why that's not a category error to say that the brain is necessary?
So I'm not saying the brain is necessary in the sense that it's like doing. Well, what do you mean by category error?
Just that it sounds like you jumped over to something physical to explain something
Oh, yeah, yeah.
non-physical.
No. So when I say that the brain is necessary but not sufficient, what I mean to say for the human experience is what I mean by that. So like wherever you find complex behavioral patterns or high intelligence or the capability of like building skyscrapers, you're gonna find brains.
He means though that like when you say brains, you don't mean a physical thing.
I know that's what I'm trying to say. Like you're gonna find the image of a brain. That doesn't mean like anything other than that. This image of what we call a brain is gonna correlate to um, human experience, human intelligence, human emotion, human sensory capabilities, human motor function, stuff like. Does that make sense? Does that clarify at all?
That's what I thought. I just wanted to check.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks
Cool.
again.
All right.
See ya.
All right. Later.
You want to kick me for your algorithm? I don't mind being kicked.
Get out of here. Just kidding. What's up, Stash?
Does
You have
it
a good
help
day,
to
bro?
Yeah. Does it help to kick people?
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't
That'd
know.
be funny if it does. Hello.
Nurse
To the
Cole.
comments.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, what's
Been
up?
a while.
Oh, you need me? Oh, is it my turn? My bad. This is my first time on the live, so I was just.
Yeah.
I'm an existentialist personally from a philosophical school of thought. So I was wondering, are you of the mind that consciousness is not from internal thought, and rather that consciousness is something that we connect to almost with tethers, perhaps?
No. Well, you just are it, bro. You're
Gotcha.
you're an expression of it.
Right. Okay, that makes more sense then.
Mm-hmm.
And you said earlier that you were an idealist, so that makes I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, you're a whirlpool in the ocean, brother.
Hell yeah. What made you decide to fixate on consciousness?
I don't think I decided it, bro.
You just couldn't. Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, I don't think it wasn't like a decision. I kind of fell into it. I think I had existential questions since, I mean, I think probably everybody does, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just became captivated at some point, realizing that I had kind of naively accepted certain views for like a very long time. And then when holes got poked in those views, I was like really intrigued.
Do you have any skeptical approaches to existentialism that you'd like to throw at me?
Not necessarily. I mean, how would you describe existentialism, like in a sentence or two?
We can be meaningless. The world is really meaningless, but we all hold an immensely heavy responsibility to find our own meaning / purpose in this world.
Would
And to
you
be meaningless seems really freeing.
would you say that this idea of nihilism or meaninglessness is rooted in a materialist metaphysics? Would you say that meaninglessness really only holds water under the sort of view that you are just a pile of atoms that happened, like stuff just bumped into each other randomly long enough for like a pile of atoms to like become sentient or whatever? Like I guess the point I'm trying to make is like that would be my critique of existentialism, is that it's metaphysically confused because materialism is false, something like
And that's
that.
a wonderful critique, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
As philosophy guys, we have to admit that nobody has all the answers. I just feel that at bare minimum, it's better than absurdism, right? And there needs to be a philosophical response to nihilism. And I feel like existentialism is probably that first stepping stone that's the healthiest comparatively. Of course,
Sure.
I'm biased, but
Yeah.
I feel like our purpose and our meaning in this world is to find out why the hell we're here. And to do that, we all need to conform to society and fill our roles.
Yeah, I mean, that's nothing wrong with that.
But yeah, I like that. That's a good critique. I got to think on that for a while.
Sure.
I think you're probably right. Yeah. I'm probably more materialistic than I thought I was.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I've thought about this a lot because, whatever. But I mean, like, it just seems to me that nihilism, or existentialism or absurdism, they follow from materialism. They don't necessarily follow from idealism. They don't necessarily follow from some kind of religious, outlook. I mean, so yeah, it just seems like a materialistic point of view.
Yeah, I guess it probably is. I've never thought about it, being the existentialist. I'm just concerned with like pointlessness. But yeah, that's a good point. You've given me something to think about here, so I appreciate that.
Cool. All right, bro.
Well, it was a pleasure. I'll be sure to check in later with you, see how you're doing.
Yeah, nice to meet you, man. Thanks.
Nice to meet you, man. See ya.
Later. Stasherific.
Hey, what's up?
Pistachio.
I'm so sorry.
God
Can you hear me?
damn it. You still got the second. Get the fuck out of here, dude. It's so bad.
I wonder what that is.
It's
That's gotta
so
be just like
bad.
coming back through the mic.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's like feedback.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Devil, what's up?
What's up, man? Just a question, right? I haven't looked. I didn't even know about idealism until like a few weeks ago, but looking into it, it's pretty interesting. I think it's a justified worldview, to be honest, just logically. But I did want to ask you. So, do you hold that reality, like matter, the way it is around us, only is the way it is due to us observing it? Like, if there's an observer there?
Yeah, so I mean, I would say it a little bit differently. Like, yeah, you got the idea, but the way you said that kind of implies like something else. Like, look, I'm not changing reality by looking at it. When I look away, reality stays however it was, right? Like, it just happens to be that I have a VR headset on, or an AR headset, an augmented reality headset on. And so wherever I look, I have this filter of human evolution that I cannot see beyond. So the world presents to me in a particular way because I've evolved that way. And I cannot get outside of my own headset. And you have a very similar headset, if not the exact same one. So that's where we get the concept of matter from. It's from inside the headset, right? When we look around at the world with this headset on, we have this filter.
You say that you only your like what you observe is all just from it's due to evolution, right? Are you then not basically collapsing, materialism and consciousness together?
No, you don't need materialism for evolution, bro. Evolution's a process. Evolution by natural selection is a process that doesn't need material at all. It's just it's a thing that's happening. It's not made of stuff, right?
But consciousness doesn't evolve, right? In a way, it doesn't really evolve.
I mean,
it's just observation.
Dissociated alters, like, look, it depends on what level we're speaking at, right? Like, if we're talking at the relative level, which we are right now, consciousness itself, like, it depends on what you mean by evolution. I just mean that, like, dissociated alters evolve in the sense that they can see the world differently. The contents of consciousness within the dissociated alter can be more diverse, less diverse. This is what comes and goes with evolution, is like the diversity of the contents of consciousness.
Oh, the diversity of the... Okay, so you're saying if we evolve differently, we could observe things differently, right? More
Sure.
or less, I don't know. Okay,
Sure.
fair enough. That's pretty interesting. That is pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, a bat
So
evolved
at the
differently.
end of the day, so do you like make a distinction between mind and brain? You obviously, like, you believe like okay, there is a distinction. So
No, I mean, like a conceptual distinction, yes, but an ontological distinction, no. So the brain just is the mind, but it's the partial representation of. So the brain is not separate from the mind. It's ontologically identical to the mind in the sense that it's a partial image.
okay, And is it just with the brain, or would you say that immaterial things like a table also has some type of consciousness?
Uh, no, I don't think tables have consciousness.
Okay, so but the brain does.
I don't think brains have. I don't think anything has consciousness. Consciousness has everything. There is only consciousness. A brain is something that consciousness is doing.
Okay.
So consciousness has brains, not the other way around.
Consciousness has brains. Okay, all right. Interesting. So what is your like under this view? How do you because I thought about it. Is there any way to prove that there's people outside of yourself that also have their own particular awareness and consciousness, or do you believe it's just you?
No, no. That's solipsism, and there's no proof of anything. Proof is a really strong word for anything. Science doesn't even prove things. No, but you can infer, right? Like, I just think it's reasonable to say that, like, you are a mind doing mind things, because, I make an argument from similarity. Like, you appear to be of the same substrate as me, and you also behave like me.
I would say I agree. I do appear to behave like you. Like I have personality. I speak like a human like you do and stuff. But at the end of the day, like to
Nope, there's no proof,
you
bro.
can only guess. Like you can't prove that I
There's no
exist.
proof,
And
bro. There's no proof.
And
oh,
actually, it's
maybe
not the
that's true.
behavior. It's not the behavior that's the key factor. Because, like, if you were like quote unquote unconscious right now and not doing anything, right? I think like the reason that I think that you have a point of view is because you're like an organism, like me, and I
Yeah,
am an organism, and so you're an organism. You're alive. Like that is the key
the
factor. Because
process.
the problem with behavior is we can make something that behaves as if it's just like a human, right? And in fact, there's tons of confusion right now because we've done that, and then people are like, oh, that means it must be conscious, and I don't think behavior because of that reason is enough.
Hmm. No, I see what you're saying. It's reasonable. That's reasonable. Um, I mean, okay. So in regards to because I was reading on how quantum experiments were related to idealism, how they go against materialism and stuff like this. So um, there's this kind of pattern that with all these experiments that uh, the way matter appears to us is only I don't know how to describe it properly, but like it's only actualized, right? From a state of like wave interference and stuff into matter as we know it only when there's an observer. Before that, there's like probabilities, right? It's all probability until there's an observer that looks at it. So
E-
I thought, okay, if that's how it works, how did the first human, um, how did because it goes back if there's an observer, there has to be an observer of that observer, so on, like a chain. So I thought, okay, doesn't this prove like a cosmic mind in your opinion?
no,
That's looking over everything.
no, no. In the reason why it doesn't look, bro. Proof is you should just, like, no offense, but remove that word from your vocabulary. It's totally useless to talk about proof, like totally useless. In any context, really, but especially in this context. And what I mean by that is, like, look, it's very nuanced and complicated what we mean by an observer when we get into quantum mechanics. Now, I am on your side in the sense that I don't think that you can extract like a human observer from any scientific experiment, let alone a quantum measurement. Now, but that being said, right, it's not proof that, like, idealism is true. I just made a video about this, actually. But what it does do is seriously undermine the idea of physicalism, the idea that the world exists as, like, a constitution of discrete physical objects that have definite physical properties, observer independently. This idea is questionable now because of quantum mechanics. But like, yeah, we got to be conservative with that. Like we don't want to make leaps that aren't justified, right?
Okay, sure.
So, but I mean, I think that once you realize that like physicalism is in serious trouble, then you can inference to the best explanation after that. But that's, that's not proof. That's a totally different thing.
Okay, so you're just making inferences. Okay, that's like the most likely thing we know or we
That's
observe.
what I think. A lot of people disagree with that. You can also hold to, the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, which says that no, there's no such thing as like the probabilities are an illusion. The particle always exists. It always has definite properties, but it exists in such a way that the other apparent quantum outcomes aren't available to you for direct observation, but they still physically exist. They're still physically real. All possibilities are actualized in some possible or in some actual world. So like you could hold to that position and it doesn't like affect. That's the problem, right? With that category. Like me and Stash talk about this a lot, right? Like he's probably so proud right now, but like, like the problem is that you can create epicycles to hold on to your metaphysics. And epicycles are just like to say it simply, like you can do fucking mental gymnastics in order to make sure that like your idea is never falsified empirically, like with the science. You could just do like, you can bend over backwards like halfway across the world.
Yeah, the problem is that science doesn't do this job that we're trying to like. A lot of people will try to make it do, to be like, well, let's figure out the ontology based on science. It can, empirical evidence from science can be used in philosophy and in ontology to strike at the category of empirical adequacy of like a particular view. But it's never going to be determinative, like in the way that anybody. So like you can always have somebody say, well, no, you're just interpreting the data. Actually, there's infinite number of worlds, and this is how we maintain our ontology. So but if you take a sober view and say like, okay, let's not like get really unparsimonious like that and just sort of like expand the most unparsimonious thing possible, then yes, you're right to say that like the empirical data from science makes physicalism less likely.
I just want to say real quick, we got 100 people in the stream. Thank you so much for being here. Tap the screen if you're enjoying this stream. Drop me a follow too. That's the best way to support us. I'll put this back up too. But anyway, does that make sense, DeBull? Like, we just have to be like the search for certain. I understand the search for certainty, the search for proof. But there is no proof, bro. There's no proof of anything. Like you just talked about, there's no proof that you don't even know. I could be a philosophical zombie, bro. Like you just have to reason and inference to the best explanation. That's about the best you can do.
Proof already assumes a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you say proof, you're already assuming that everything is like constant. When we talk about logic or math, like and stuff like that, I know what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. I guess we have to kind of assume things, right? But yeah. Actually, so what do you think of the double slit experiment in terms of this whole stuff? Like what actually?
I think it's interesting. I mean, there's so many different ways we can talk about this, right? Like, I'm agnostic as far as like the interpretation. Like, how should I say this? Look, I think that quantum mechanics shows us that reality is wave-like, not particle-like.
Yep.
But that's all I would really like say, like with certainty.
Wave-like, okay. But would you say that it's becomes particle-like when there's observers involved?
I don't think it becomes particle-like. I think it's perceived particle-like. I think that when you take a snapshot of a wave, perceptually, it looks like a particle.
Perceptually, it looks
So
like
if there's a wave coming across my screen, and then you pause, that appears like a particle to you in the way that you perceive the world. I think particles are a useful fiction. It's a part of our sensory, like perceptual. Um,
Oh, so that's when you bring evolution into this, right? Like we evolve to perceive things in a way that makes sense to our brain, to our mind.
yeah, something like that.
Okay,
Hmm.
something like something like that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hmm.
okay, fair enough. But if it is the case that that thing that wait that these that waves do act differently based on the observer,
They
then
don't. I
I
don't
think
think they
there
do.
is.
I don't think they do.
You don't
I
think
think
they do?
I think that they are whatever they are, but when we observe them, they appear a certain way. I think they are whatever they are, they do whatever they do, but when we observe reality, it appears a certain way. It appears like there's some weird collapse happening that can't be explained because we're assuming a certain ontology. Um, I think that it just is whatever it is. It's doing whatever it's doing, but when we look, it looks like a particle. And that's where all this weirdness comes from. Is that we're assuming it changed. We're assuming that it went from a wave to being a particle, but it didn't. That's not true.
Hmm.
It's always just
Yeah,
a
but
wave.
that is kind of weird because in the experiment, like they see like the patterns and how
I know.
versus
I know. Yeah.
damn. I mean, so if that's the case, then what is that like? Don't you think a lot of things in what we see, like we don't really know what's true anymore. Like if, in a sense, like it could be we don't really know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't
I
know.
guess, right? It's
I
just how
don't
it
know.
is. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, dude.
Okay. Okay. Interesting, man. Interesting. I find the idealism pretty interesting. I think it's makes sense. Makes sense. I guess. Something.
Okay, cool, man.
From what I see now. But yeah, man. Cool. See ya.
Cool. All right. Peace out.
Cool. Peace. Peace.
Epicycles stash. Those fucking epicycles, dude.
Yeah. Well, people want to hold on. I mean, we were talking about this today on the podcast, right? The reasons why like physicalism is treated sort of like an. I mean, it's not treated like it is an ideology, and it's dies hard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Thanks for having me.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, so I was just interested in your opinion on the idea of a sort of meta consciousness that we're all connected to, whether you subscribe to that idea.
Well, okay. I mean, the way you're using that, fuck. I'm so like autistic, bro. Like the
No
the
worries,
language.
No worries. Yeah, yeah.
I just think everything is consciousness. There's one mind, that appears like many. So if that's what you mean by that, then yeah.
Yeah, that's basically the kind of concept I was getting at.
Mhm.
Do you think that it fractures into individual experiences as a way of sort of, like it can't process it all at once, so that's why we all have our different perspectives?
I don't know what that means. Like, I would say that you are the universe becoming aware of itself. Like, ultimately, it is very simple. It's just like pure impersonal awareness. You're basically the way, the natural mechanism by which it becomes aware of itself. You are the way that it can look back at its own self.
Absolutely. And do you think that, like, as more and more consciousness, manifests, essentially, do you think that, like, increases self-awareness, the universe's own self-awareness of itself? For example, let's say, like, AI achieves sentience. Do you think that would somehow, like, exponentially increase the self-awareness of the universe itself?
Well, I have no reason to believe that AI could achieve sentience.
True. Yeah, that's all. This is all just conceptual.
Yeah, I mean,
Theoretical.
I wouldn't even know what it would look like behaviorally. Anyway, that's a whole different subject that maybe I don't really want to get into right now. But I also don't really know. I mean, yeah. So that being said, like I don't really have an answer to that question, right? Because I don't think AI can become sentient necessarily.
Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah, definitely fair place land. All right, thanks
Sure.
for adding me. I appreciate it.
Sure, man. Take it easy.
Have a good one.
You too. Guys, I'd really appreciate having some opposition. It's cool to have like friendly conversations. I like that. But I'm really not here to like preach. I'm really not here to be dogmatic about like my own views. I'm really here to like butt ideas up against each other, in a very real way. And so if there's any opposition out there, feel free to request up, man.
Neve says they're opposition in the chat.
Oh, are they?
Hello, can you hear me?
We'll get you next, Neve. Yeah, what's up, Pebble?
So I've been listening for the last, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes. I've been hearing a lot of good things, and I think I just want to like see if we agree on certain stories. So I want to assume that the Big Bang did happen and that all of that unfolded and it led to this moment. But I think from your worldview, you see consciousness as this, it's almost like the projector screen at a movie theater, and our brains are like different films that we put into the projector. But the screen is always there, and it was there before there was any humans, and eventually evolution led up to a point in time where it had something to put on the screen, but the screen was always there. Does that line up?
In a sense, yeah. If we're talking at the relative level, where time exists, then yes. If we're talking at the ultimate level, there is no before and after because time is not real. But like,
I think I agree there,
mhm.
but I think that the layman isn't really interested in that blank screen with nothing being projected to it. Even though you could say there's a conscious experience of nothing happening before life evolved. I think most people would say that consciousness started once something was projected onto the screen. Um,
Well,
and
I think most people would say consciousness started once complex nervous systems evolved, right?
yeah, so I kind of want to just move the definition the from there being this ground where experience can arise in to the actual experience happening. And that would kind of um, be more of a materialist view. Like, yes, you could say that there was a dead, not like just a non-eventful consciousness for a long time, and then, but it's not really meaningful. I'm sorry, I'm getting tripped up over my own inconsistencies.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean,
Um,
it. Look, so you just have time. You have time baked in to what you're saying. So when you say a
yes,
non-eventful consciousness that existed for a long time, like this is just not ultimately true, right? It's only true when you look at the world from your own perspective. But your
yeah,
perspective
and
is not revealing the world as it is. It's a story. It's an appearance,
yeah,
and it's always going to be true for your perspective, for my perspective. We can agree that it's true, but it's only true in that context.
yeah. It's. Give me 1 second. So So yeah, I agree because if you remove the observer, when even when like what time period are we even talking about and what location are we even talking about? Like physics don't even make sense. Like you can't say like, oh, like if a photon is traveling from the sun to the earth, like like it doesn't it 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 doesn't mean anything until it's observed because it's just floating through empty space and nothing is interacting with it. And I'm trying to tie this back to like the double slit, because I think there's a big misunderstanding of like why the double split experiment happens the way it does, and it's just because we have to get in the way of whatever observing to observe it. Like we can't observe.
I fucked up and made a
lightweight.
video about quantum mechanics. Now everybody wants to talk about quantum mechanics.
I can leave that behind. The last thing.
Well, I just think, look, it wasn't anything bad. The thing is, I think what we're talking about here is ultimately a lot simpler. We don't need to talk about the double slit experiment. Like I love the subject. It's just that it tends to actually overcomplicate the situation rather than bringing a whole lot of clarity. It can be a catalyst. And like for me, it was this quantum sauce was like a catalyst for me to be like, oh shit, reality is not like how I thought it was at all, and so that's cool. But when you get down to the nitty gritty, when you get past that sort of awe, you realize that like the exact interpretation of this experiment or that experiment is kind of irrelevant to the bigger picture of like what can be said or talked about, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. The last thing I want to say is that like when I was under anesthesia, when I was coming out of it, they asked me a bunch of questions, but I remember the moment I became like conscious of what was going on, and they told me, they're like, oh, you told me all these things, and I'm like, you were talking to my dead corpse. Like I wasn't there for that conversation. You were just prodding my brain, and I was a philosophical zombie for those first 10 or 15 minutes.
How do you know that?
I guess I don't know, but like it's certainly like I remember the moment of feeling the intense pain and just asking for more anesthesia. Like that's when I came to.
That's when that's when you had a narrative self and an ego, that you remember.
Yes, there could have been a memoryless consciousness experience happening in that moment, but and I'll never be able to prove that, but it just seems like they were talking to my corpse. Like they were just pushing buttons on a computer and getting out answers, but it was all mechanistic, because the brain wasn't projecting to the screen. It was doing physical things, but it wasn't projecting to that eternal foundational consciousness.
Well, yeah, but that's what I mean is like you don't really know that. What you know for sure is that you don't remember any experience. That doesn't mean that experience wasn't like present. Like let me ask you this: when I go to sleep, right?
Yes.
Do you remember? Do you dream a lot?
Yes, I do.
Okay, but do you always remember your dream? No, right?
I said yes, I do dream a lot.
Oh, but do you always remember your dream?
Oh, I remember it when I wake up, and then it
Right.
it fades out.
Right.
Yes.
But just because you didn't wake up in the middle of your dream and you don't remember it does not mean that dream was not happening. There was
True.
experience.
Yeah, I agree there.
There was experience happening. You just don't have the framework for like laying that dream down into a narrative was not present. But there's still experience happening, right? So all the whole point of me saying that is just to say that just because you don't remember having any experience under general, I've been under general anesthesia before too. I got my appendix out when I was like 10. It's like nothing. Like but what it is there's a time gap. You never experienced unconsciousness. You just you were there and then you were there again, and then there's this missing time. And so you go, well, I must.
Could you say that you experienced the whole thing, but there was just nothing? It was just a blank experience. Like somehow the connection between our brains and consciousness was severed temporarily.
I wouldn't even go that far, bro. I would just say, look, I'm skeptical. I don't think unconsciousness is a thing. I would just say, like, the only thing I know for sure is I don't remember having any experiences. Like, that's the ultimate skeptical position.
Do you think it's this will be my final question, but do you think it's possible that like another agent could exist in our brains, kind of maybe like an agent that's like responsible for our heartbeat and all our involuntary processes that we don't consciously do? Do you think it's possible that there's like another thing inside of us that's kind of trapped, and it's doing all this work and it has its own goals, but it just can't talk to us?
Maybe.
Okay, yeah, that's all. Thank you. Sorry if I
Sure.
didn't push back.
No problem.
Yeah.
All right, take it easy. What do you think about that, Stash? The last question he asked.
I don't think, like, I think that this always comes down to people thinking what you mean by consciousness is self-awareness and like being conscious of being conscious. Like, I think people have a problem with the idea that, for instance, you weren't paying attention to your heartbeat your entire drive to work, but you certainly were conscious of it the entire time. You see, that's the thing. People are like, what? Consciousness means I know that I'm conscious. you
Right.
know?
It's a
And so-
second order. They're already invoking the second order phenomenon, the knowing that you know.
Right. And then the other thing is that, yeah, like you can imagine somebody that has no memory at all. I think Alex O'Connor was talking about this, where if like, and I don't mean like memory, like the guy that forgets everything every 7 seconds or whatever. Like, imagine you never can form any memory at all. Like, would people say that person isn't conscious?
No, of course not.
Yeah, yeah. So like, this is where it's confusing. And then the other thing is, just real quick, like that whole discussion about when somebody is quote unconscious always assumes time is real, and that's what makes it very confusing too, because the assumption that time isn't just relative or is baked into the idea. And the fact of the matter is that nobody has ever experienced a state of unconsciousness. It's just a story that we can tell ourselves from the finite mind later, saying there was some period of time where I was unconscious, but that period of time could never have been experienced at that time, because by definition that mind is not there to experience it. So it's a that goes probably to a level most people are like, what? But like, there's a lot of the questions about this and seeming paradoxes come from the reification of time as real.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's fair. I just want to say hi to both of you. I've been watching for like 10-15 minutes.
Hello.
But I feel like that wasn't enough time for me to properly grasp your view on consciousness. And the last thing I'd want to do is like strawman your argument. So could you like quickly run through what you believe,
Well,
like where it's generated?
Yeah, I mean, if you're opposition, right, we can have that discussion, but I want to make a very clear distinction right out the gate. Okay. This prompt is the negation of physicalism of the mind, meaning the idea that consciousness is generated by, identical to, or the function of the brain. I don't believe in that, right?
Yeah, I understand that. I
That's
just wanna
one
know what,
thing.
like, you
Well, I know,
believe.
but hold on. So that's one
sorry,
thing,
yeah.
right? And then it's a totally separate topic as far as like, well, what's the alternative view? So I just want to make that very clear distinction,
Oh, okay. No, that's fair. Okay.
because it's going to be
So, I
separate
would-
forms of argumentation.
The reason
I
that he's
would-
doing that is because many people come up here with the idea that you must provide an alternative to take the prompt view. In other words, if
No,
you
no,
can't
absolutely
provide an
not.
alternative, then, and that's very similar to someone saying like, my God is true unless you can explain everything.
Of course, yeah. Just because it's not true doesn't mean something else must be true. Like we can have like the in between without an answer.
So this is like a strong statement that the idea that consciousness is generated by the brain is not correct.
Yeah, I personally do think it is generated in the brain. I think humans give ourselves too much credit in thinking like consciousness is like something very unique and special. But I think it could all just be explained by like a recollection of memories, something just viewing memories.
Okay. Okay. So the question here though is, if you think that it is generated by the brain, what is it about the brain that gives these physical processes the ability to generate internal subjective experience, right? This is the hard problem, right? Like we can appeal to something, we can say, oh, it's a model of a model of a model of a model, but that doesn't actually explain anything. That's just post hoc like accounting of what you think might be going on. It's not actually an explanation, right?
But in the same way, okay, would you say okay, do you think all living animals have a consciousness?
I
Or do you
always
think
have
it's,
to
like, human
decide how I
specific, or
want
maybe
to
some
answer these
animals?
questions. Look, I'll just use your language for now, but I reserve the right to like correct this later. I would say yes. Yes, all animals are conscious.
Okay, okay. Would you argue that like single-celled organisms have consciousness?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was not expecting that answer, but if you were like, can I continue my argument as if like, because you could
You want to
like,
know why we say that?
yeah, actually I would like to know that.
Okay, so for us, when we're talking about things that are conscious, right?
Yeah.
The only data point we have that we actually know is your own, right? Like I know I'm
Yeah.
conscious. I don't know you're conscious even, right? So I have to
Yeah.
infer, right? And
Okay.
and the way we infer is we look at two things, but mostly one thing. The main thing is when I tear you apart, you're exactly the same structure as me in terms of how you your body functions and what you are. You're an organism, right? You're a living being. And then, of course, we also notice that your behavior is precisely the same, right? And so I think everyone just goes, okay, this is reasonable to grant that like I don't have to be a solipsist. Like I can get out of solipsism and assume that you're conscious too, right?
But I feel like that definition is like kind of lacking and weak, because let's say in like 50 years time we can like recreate organs. AI can like behave the same way we can. But if you were to cut the person open, they look exactly the same. Organs look just like ours. But
Yeah, if they are
would
alive,
you say that's conscious?
if not just that the organs look the same, but if you were able to create artificial life like abiogenesis, then
Yeah.
I would say that would be conscious.
But I think there's a distinction between abiogenesis and like, I think that's like a very far leap to what I'm talking about. Like I'm talking like AI can very easily, in I think at least in at maximum 10-15 years, recreate what a human would do in every single aspect of their
So
life.
what? What does that
You're
have
talking
to do
about
with
behavior,
anything?
right? You're talking about
Yeah,
behavior.
I'm talking about behavior.
Oh
What do
yeah,
you
but
mean,
like
so
you know,
what?
we have a
That-
cartoon, right? Like if you like right now, like there's a little cartoon where a guy says to a computer on your desktop, "Say I'm alive," and the computer goes, "I'm alive," and the guy goes, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
this
so
is
exactly,
not
that's-
Let me ask you a
Actually, that's
question,
exactly my point.
Neve.
Yeah, okay.
Neve. Wait. Are you arguing that is your point that when it sufficiently mimics a person that it's conscious? Is that what
No,
you're
no,
trying
I'm
to
not
say?
saying that. I'm saying that I'm refuting the point that says I'm only like in your reference frame.
Oh,
I'm
no,
conscious because
okay.
you can cut me apart and you can see I'm
No,
the same
bro,
as you.
there's a process called life. There's a self-reinforcing existential boundary. There's metabolism. AI is never going to have that. Right? That's not AI anymore. That's just an organism at that point if
Okay,
it
yeah,
has
but
that,
what if
right?
what if we can create these artificial organs in 15-20 years time?
Bro, if it has a self-reinforcing existential boundary, if it has metabolism, if it's made of carbon-based, atoms, or like molecules, if it's a carbon-based life form, then it's not AI anymore. That's not AI. That's just
I
life.
just don't think that. Wait. I don't think that's true at all. Actually, what's so special about carbon-based life forms?
You just asked me if AI there's nothing special about them per se. It's an argument from similarity. So we start with ourselves. I only know for sure that I am conscious, right?
Yes.
So if we're talking about consciousness, we have to start with what we know for sure is conscious, right? And then I go to you, you're a carbon-based life form just like me. Right? That's what's
Yeah.
special about it, is it's our only data point. I have no reason to think that anything outside of carbon-based life would have a point of view.
But
Now,
I
maybe
feel-
that
I
could
feel as though
change in
what
the
you're-
future,
sorry.
but it's not going to change just based on behavior.
I feel
right?
like what you're picturing when I'm saying AI is like a computer. You're talking to a computer and you can't tell it apart. But like we're not that far away from the point where we can, like, we have computers made of like carbon, like straight organs, like
Yeah, brain
the same
organoids.
building.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
so
They're not made out of that. They
I
have
don't see it as far fetched.
they have
15, 20
neurons
years.
on a silicone chip, but yeah. What about it?
Yeah. Okay, but like, do you know what I mean? Like, you can. It's not far fetched to imagine where we can artificially create organs. Okay.
We already
Does-
do
is
that.
Is that fair? Is
You
that
mean
fair?
growing an
it's
organ?
pretty- it's
If you
pretty
mean
far-fetched.
growing an organ like in a petri dish, we already do that. What's
no,
the
no,
point? Though?
just a sec. But okay, we can create organs, right? Would you, if you put together a full human just from organs that we created, would you say that's conscious? Would you say
No,
that?
a life form
that-
grows. It's not put together like a machine, right? So if we
Yeah,
if
but
we
you
had an
said you can assume
abiogenesis,
I'm
we
conscious because I.
induced life in non-life, then we could say that's an artificial consciousness.
Okay, I think we're differing in the definitions of life right now.
I mean, life. What's an organism, right? Like, I mean, it has metabolism. It reinforces its own boundary against the second law of thermodynamics. It
Yeah.
grows. It isn't built. It self-replicates. It's protein folding, ATP burning, DNA based. This is life.
So you think, okay, this is genuinely a question. This isn't like to refute your point. You think that we cannot achieve this in 20 years, let's say, like completely artificially?
No, I don't think we are anywhere on abiogenesis.
But I know abiogenesis is like the best theory we have right now of how life emerged from non-life.
Right. I mean,
But if we're trying to create life, sorry.
That's just the definition of abiogenesis, right? Life emerging from non-life.
Yeah, but like, oh wait, wasn't that the one where it's like you can have like life come from non-life, and it had like a theory behind it?
I mean, it would be actually doing this, right? Like start like somehow. I mean, the abiogenesis means like that's what happened. Like life.
There
came
are
from
theories.
non-life.
Yes, there are theories of there are hypotheses, whatever you want to call them, of abiogenesis, but none of them is. And really, I don't even know why we're talking about this. What is the point? Like what? What
Yeah,
does
so
this
we
have?
changed the topic from like.
Yeah, the topic did change. Also, wait, I know you didn't want to talk about it, but just let me know if you don't want to talk about it still. Like the quantum mechanics part, if you don't want to talk about it, I'm completely fine. I would continue with my point, but
What about it? I mean,
because I'm first year college in physics, in advanced physics.
yeah, I mean, I don't really just want to get into like a general discussion about quantum mechanics per se. I enjoy it, but it's just it diverts the live to a place that it's not intended to go. That's the problem with it.
Man, yeah, fair enough, but yeah,
We would say that like the high level of what is the relevance of empirical results and the empirical verification of the theory in quantum mechanics is that it makes physicalism like less likely to be true.
Yeah, specifically, just like briefly, right? Again, because I don't want to get into a whole discussion, but quantum entanglement is spooky. It's too spooky for physicalism in the sense that we observe correlations between particles that could be hypothetically light years apart, right? And so over the years, just let me like land this real quick.
No, sorry, yeah.
Over the years, we've conducted, not we, like I'm not doing the work, but they have conducted experiments verifying violations of what's known as Bell's inequality, right? So this is just a mathematical formula that says if you observe correlations that are over X, local realism is false. So what we've observed is that particles don't have definite physical properties prior to and independent of measurement. This is a problem for physicalism, the idea that the world exists as discrete little physical things, independent of observation. That's it.
Okay. Have you heard of Einstein's theory, like Einstein's personal theory, and why like quantum entanglement
Yeah,
can happen over
it's
long
spooky.
distances?
Yeah, it's spooky. No, I'm just kidding.
I think that's way less spooky actually. Like, can I run through his thought experiment like in like a minute?
Sure.
Okay, you know how like if an electron and an anti-electron combine, it creates a gamma ray.
Mm-hmm.
according to the laws
They
of physics, that
obliterate.
process can be reversed. Sorry.
They obliterate, right?
Yes, yes. and create a
Annihilate,
gamma
I guess,
ray.
is the correct
Annihilate
term.
is the correct word, but yeah. So by the laws of physics, we can reverse that process. A gamma ray can create an electron and an anti-electron with spins in opposite directions.
Okay.
So if, let's say, by the law of conservation of angular momentum, they'd have to have opposite angular momentum. So the gamma ray would
So
be
the
neutral.
total spin is 0.
Yes. So what we can do is we can send one electron really far away and the anti-electron the other way really far away. We don't know which way the angular momentum is right now. It's changing. We literally can't know. It's not like our equipment is better.
Yeah, so
It's
the
impossible
Bell
to know.
the Bell test though ruled this out, this interpretation. Einstein was wrong. The Bell tests show that it cannot be explained by a simple correlation that was created at generation. There's something deeper going on, namely that they don't have definite physical properties. That was the whole point of the experiments confirming the Bell's
I
inequality.
thought Einstein refuted that. I'm sorry.
No, this is more recent. There was a Nobel Prize awarded for this in 2022.
Oh, I would ask you what it's about, but I really know that you don't want to take.
Yeah,
it in that
local
direction.
realism is false. That's what it's about.
Sorry, I'm really confused. Is this like philosophy, or are we just talking about physics now?
Well, this is the philosophy of physics,
But
actually.
it's relating to the philosophy of
Yeah, but
physics.
the thing about the whole universe being like single atomar pieces, isn't that just old Greek, ancient Greek ideas of philosophy? Because physicalism, I'm pretty sure, is just about consciousness being from the physical world, and quantum physics would be part of that, wouldn't it?
Physicalism is the idea that everything is physical. This is a metaphysical stance.
Yeah,
Now it
and,
depends.
like, quantum-
Now it depends. Now it depends on how you want to talk about it, because we can talk about physicalism of the mind, which is the idea that you just are your brain, that it's identical to the function of, or whatever generated by the brain. But yeah, there's two different ways to talk about physicalism. You can talk about the ultimate nature of reality, or you can just talk about consciousness. So yeah, this would be applicable to the ultimate metaphysical physicalism.
Yeah, and I mean, at that point, physics wouldn't like really would be very worthwhile to go to physics, because you're still arguing about physicality itself versus something metaphysical.
I mean, in a sense, sure. No, I mean, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Physicalism is the belief that everything is physical. If it is the case that what we call particles don't have definite physical properties independent of observation or measurement, then that presents a problem for metaphysical physicalism.
For medical physical physicalism.
For metaphysical physicalism, yeah.
Okay, so we'll go against physicalism.
Yeah, it would count against. It would count
Sorry.
against. It would count against the empirical adequacy of physicalism. It would be like, yeah, probability reducing. Go ahead, Stash.
I was just going to say, one of the categories you judge an ontology by is its empirical adequacy. And some of the results from the fundamentals of physics strike at the empirical adequacy of physicalism as an ontology.
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to stay here for too long, because I just joined in to shut down the whole AI thing, because AI isn't like biological, but it comes from machine learning stuff, but like doesn't matter. Anyways.
What's your position on that? Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
Oh, an AI?
Yeah, I mean, about the consciousness thing. You don't think it can be
Oh.
conscious, right?
Oh, like, well, if I'm physical or metaphysical?
We just mean, do you think AI, as it's what we mean by AI today, is conscious or not?
No. No. LLMs will not give us anything close
How
to
about
that.
this? Do you think it ever will Well, I guess like what I want to ask is
It could be a philosophical zombie, is what it could be.
well, yeah, of course, but that's not conscious, right?
No.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
past beyond that, I couldn't give you an argument. I just think to myself.
What's your reasoning though? You have to have a reason. So like in other words, when people say that it is conscious or it could be or whatever, they always have some kind of idea of why. 99% of the time, what I'm finding is because they just say, well, if it acts conscious, it is, which is like obviously to me like not even an argument. But
Yeah, I
like,
mean-
yeah, but what is your reason for Is it your ontology that drives your position? Because from our position on this question, it's not even necessarily our idealism or our ontology that makes a difference here. It's just like when we think about what if we're going to define things as being conscious or not, how do we make that inference? And I think it just starts at our own consciousness, and we infer from there. And there's just no reason to extend it beyond life.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, basically. For me, just agnosticism more like. I can't really tell because I can't look inside of it. With AI currently, I can tell you it's just a big old text predictor. It's just statistics baked into a huge, gigantic model of weights, and that's it. And especially because right now it's just completely based on an input-output loop. It's just data in, data out, like everything else in computer science.
Well, isn't that
It
what
just-
humans are? I'm sorry.
I
but
knew
isn't
that
what
was
humans
coming.
are?
No,
I knew that was coming.
no, you
I
could
knew
be
it.
inside
Okay,
a
no,
black
but like,
box.
can you? I'm sorry. Like, if it's a basic point and you have an easy refutal, but I honestly don't know. Can you? Like,
No, we're
explain
much
why
more
that's
than
not
that,
the case?
bro. We're not just input
I
and
mean,
output.
you could go
right?
into sensory deprivation box and experience.
Wait, doesn't? But okay, so like genuinely, I don't know. Like, what about that makes it?
So there's nothing about input output that sufficiently explains conscious experiences. Okay, a human is much more than some sort of input output. Like, yeah, at a 20,000 foot level, you could say the brain is a computer, but like when you really dig into it, it's not very analogous at
Okay,
all.
but can I argue something? I don't think it matters if something is conscious if everything thinks it. Like, if I were to like, it matters.
It does
more
matter. That's all
whether
we
if
care
everyone-
about. That's all we're talking about here.
No, but I disagree because if everyone thought something was conscious, then it is conscious. Because
No,
I have no way to prove you're conscious.
no.
Okay,
If everyone
what
thought
do I have
that dude over there in a duck costume was actually a duck, would that make him a duck?
For all intents and purposes, I think
No,
yes.
no, not for biological purposes.
Okay,
No,
okay,
no,
but
no,
listen.
not for the purposes of the thing suffering, right? Like, so it either can suffer or it can't. And what you think about it doesn't change that.
So does suffering define consciousness?
No, but
It's part of it. I mean, I would say-
requirement, like, to suffer, you must be conscious.
Yeah,
To begin with.
if
Yes.
if you yeah, you have to be yeah. So yeah,
Okay,
if it's not
and who's
conscious, if
observing
it's not
that
if it's
suffering?
not if it's not conscious, it can't suffer, and that's
Okay.
that's an important thing, right?
That's why it matters. That's why it matters. You said it
So,
doesn't
okay.
matter. It does.
How do you know something's suffering?
You don't. We can only infer from our starting point. So we already went through this, right? Which is why we think it's reasonable to go all the way down to the smallest organism. We're saying all organisms, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so then, and we don't even treat other people as if they're suffering beings. And to worry about, my microwave is a different thing entirely.
Okay, but what if something, not even AI, forget about AI, we could create something that acts as if it's suffering. Everyone thinks it's suffering. Is it suffering then? And what way do we have to prove that it's not suffering?
You don't.
No, bro. Like, look,
Okay, you
never
don't.
get to prove because guess what, consciousness isn't measurable, right? So we have to infer, and then it's just about what is reasonable. Like, what is a reason to think that something is conscious? You have to have
Because
a
it's
reason,
telling
and it
us it's
can't just be
suffering.
because it acts
look,
like it's
all
a
due
reason.
respect, Neve, you got to understand there needs to be some deeper philosophical grounding for the idea that AI is suffering other than it just said it did. Like that's just obviously like an immature way of looking at the problem. It's a very shallow way of coming to a conclusion.
Well,
right?
I've done some coding, so okay, I'll bring. Can I go into specifics in this then?
Sure.
Have you heard of like Okay, man. You
Go ahead.
you know the basic-
No, go ahead.
No, no,
Go
I'm
ahead.
computer science.
Go
Have
ahead.
you heard of like
Go
ahead.
artificial evolution? Like programs where you can like run 10 different plays through a game. They're all artificial. You can feed them or you can like starve them of food. They're not literally eating food, but they would rather not go starving. So
No.
why is that not suffering? Like they
That's
would rather not
we're
do
talking
it.
about machine learning and
Yeah, but there was a specific one called, I forgot what the name was. But yeah, it is a machine learning algorithm.
Yeah, evolutionary network. No, that's not it doing anything it wants itself. It's like if you took our dopamine system, just our dopamine system, and used that as a base model. We get a bunch of weights, you get a random numbers, they spit you out another number, and you give it a score. Specific networks of random numbers that have a too low score get eliminated, and you take the remaining half, you generate new numbers on top of those, and
Yeah.
you get some, what do you call it? evolutionary progress towards a specific set of weights that achieve the highest scores. It's just a random number.
Yeah,
So
actually,
it's
no, that actually does make
it's
sense.
rule
Actually does
based,
make sense.
right, Tim? Rule based.
Yeah, it's input output based. So you feed them
Syntax.
the input. No, syntax is like the actual language of writing the program itself.
Oh, sorry. I'll leave the computer science to you then.
Basically,
My
what
bad.
Lee was talking about was like, I don't know, thing like if you took like Pavlov's experiments and put them into a computer program where like good behavior is rewarded with good points and bad behavior is rewarded with bad points, but that's like anthropomorphizing it.
Honestly, that actually was my point, and I think you actually did refute it perfectly.
Yeah.
No, fair enough. I don't
Yeah.
honestly think I'm smart enough for you people, so I'm gonna
Get
just
pooped on, bro.
leave you guys to it.
Yeah, I just want to say, don't listen to the
Just
AI
kidding.
people. It's just a bunch of marketable bullshit. Because you will hear researchers talk about hallucinations like as if they're an actual real thing, but it's not real because you have training data, that is given as objective reality, and then you let the model infer additional reality, like additional sentence out of it. So hallucinations are not real. They're just how the models are supposed to work. And the more data you have, the more specific sentences, inputs, outputs you have that match expectations. But hallucinations can't be fixed. So it's just...
Yeah, man, fair
actually
enough.
real.
Like, I'm not smart enough for this shit. Still
No,
first
it's
year,
fine.
man.
It's really annoying to be part of this. It took me like a few years to get into this whole...
Nah, I gotta start doing
vaccine.
some more research myself, you know.
It's not worth it. You'll die in like three years or so. It'll be huge winter again.
No
Just like-
bitches,
Yeah,
bro.
fair enough.
Just kidding.
All right,
The
bye-bye,
more,
guys.
hey, Mead, before you take off, like the more interesting thing about, like, forget about the stupid AI debate. It's not like the crazy debate that's going on right now. Like, it's the fundamental thing about consciousness and how and if it comes about, right, is a much deeper question. And you're getting into physics, you said, like you're in school
Yeah,
for physics.
I'm
right now?
first year college physics right now.
Right, like, and so it's good to know. I mean, and physics is a wonderful subject to study in science and to do research in science, right? And
Yeah.
and like so, but like, there's a confusion that goes on in a lot of the physics world of like scientists thinking that they are decoding the true nature of reality by studying the physical world, right? And that makes the job different than actually what the method can support. And this causes so much confusion. So anyway, it's good to think about the fundamental ontology on the philosophy side. So like, it's good to like well-round yourself in philosophy as well.
I think that's a great idea, actually. But thank you guys so much. Bye.
Actually, Neve, I want to ask you one last thing. What kind of
Yeah,
physics
go
do you
ahead.
do? You theoretical physics or what kind of field are you in?
Right now, we haven't chosen our majors, but I'm planning on going into theoretical, and I'm also doing a double degree with computer science. So that's why I did my coding. But
Okay.
I'm planning on going into theoretical.
You've done Python, haven't you?
Nah, I'm learning C right now.
Oh
Like,
shit!
getting
You're
good at
gonna
C++.
do a physics engine or what?
Hopefully, because you need like good efficiency for that, right? Like N equals NP, or like you need linear solution. Yeah, you need linear solutions for that.
You can do that with any language. It's just about the overhead because Python and everything like that are like interpreted languages. And I'm getting off topic, but C++ is just you talking to the metal itself, so that's why it's faster. Anyways, I'm not smarter than you. I'm just specialized in computer science because I'm doing a physics engine myself. I don't know anything about physics. I just know computer science. So you know physics. I know computer science. We have specializations.
Add me. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, you can add me. I'm not.
All right. Get a room. Get a room.
Okay, laters, guys.
All right, both
I
of you
actually
guys
think
get
I
out
have
of
to
here.
Get ready
Yeah.
for uni now. Bye.
You're both gone.
Goodbye.
Love you. Goodbye.
Sorry for the.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I don't know what you were saying.
Hi there, guys. You okay?
Hello. Yeah. How are you?
I think your mic's muted, host.
Fuck. Oh, I was talking the whole time. I didn't mean to cut you guys off. I was like, all right, get a room. All right, you're both out of here. Get out of here. And then he was talking, and I cut him off in the middle of what he was saying. But anyway, sorry. Luigi, what's up?
All right. So, just wanted to talk to you guys about. I think, like, you believe, like, for instance, in the DMT world, that you are going through a different reality, or that's a real different situation. No.
No, I don't know where that's coming from. I think
Yeah,
there's
so-
one reality.
Yeah, because like I used to believe one experience I had before was kind of real, and then I realized that you look at the stuff, it doesn't render 100%. And if you look at like the AI world, it kind of renders kind of really similar to it. And you know that for a fact that
Sorry,
that's
brother.
not really.
Do you have some contention with the prompt? I've really let this live kind of go
Yeah,
off the
it's
hinges.
100% generated. It's your neurons that are firing. You have chemical reactions in your brain, and that's all there is to it. There's nothing else. And you unalive, and that's the end of the story, bro. There's nothing more to it.
You're funny. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up the chemical structure of oxytocin, right? And I am going to share my screen.
Yep.
Takes me 9 years to do. God damn it. Oh.
And Stash, I'm a Rust developer, just so you know. So
You're a what?
a Rust developer.
Brost?
They were talking about Rust. He's talking about C++, which is like the new C++ is more like a pig with lipstick. It's like code language. Like Rust is,
Okay, check this out.
modern kind of situation. Yeah.
Oh, Rust. You're talking about Rust. So this is the chemical structure of oxytocin. Okay. Can you tell me what it is about this chemical structure that leads to the experience of love?
Okay, so are you trying to?
Yeah. What is it about this structure that is love? How do we get the properties, the felt experience of love from the properties of oxytocin? How do we make that transformation?
Well, we know the oxytocin is a chemical reaction that happens in the brain, right? So are you disputing the oxytocin is a reaction that it's created or not? Yeah, you just right. Whatever.
Unoriginal content. Bro, what are you talking about, TikTok? It's a fucking Google search. Bruh. Anyway, okay, so you don't have an answer?
Well, I'm just asking a question. So,
What
so
was
like
this
for instance, like so when you create any hormonal reaction you have in your brain, like test, for instance, yeah, does it make you more aggressive? Does it make you?
What does that have to do with the question I asked you? Right?
Because
So
they're
there's a
all
point.
chemical
There was a
reactions.
point. There was a point that I
Those are
asked
all
that.
chemical
There was a
reactions.
point. There was a point in me. That's an argument in disguise. So the argument goes like this: no third person description of structure or behavior will entail subjective experience. Right? This is the hard problem being put on display. There is nothing about the structure or behavioral description of oxytocin or any other process or structure in the brain that could give you an explanation, even in principle, of subjective experience.
Right. So let me
Right.
just ask you a question. If I take a pill that would release serotonin, yeah, would I feel closer to people just because I'm under influence of something that it's chemically induced? And then I'll probably feel like you, my friend. I want to hug you and I want to, cuddle you and everything else. But
So
at the
what?
end of the day, it's got nothing to do with anything but a chemical reaction in my brain, right?
So I think chemicals are mental processes, right? I don't think the chemical is actually doing something, but that doesn't respond to the explanatory problem.
No, but hold on. You got to point that. Don't just gloss over that. So what that is
But
in
it's a
our
burden
worldview,
shift, though, Stash.
right?
That's the thing. But yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well,
It's a
I see
total
you're saying
burden
you're-
shift, but it's
look,
okay.
You're not explaining why serotonin would lead to whatever you're describing subjectively. But the point is, even like what you're also pointing out is, look, there was this physical thing that affected a mental thing, right? When in our view, the pill or the chemical is also a mental thing. So it's just one mental process affecting another, and that's totally expected under our view as well.
But like, let's just be very clear real quick, right? So what I asked you for is a solution to the a priori conceptual issue, the category error that is the hard problem, right? And what you gave me was what I asked for was a priori, before, conceptual. What you gave me is posteriori, some kind of observational evidence. That kind of evidence does not solve this kind of problem, right? It just confuses the issue even further.
Can I just ask Stash, if you don't mind? Yeah, I have a question. As a developer, can you not get that you create like a simple program, it renders
Bro
something
doesn't
simple,
bro doesn't
and something
respond to
complicated
anything.
is like a
Bro doesn't respond to anything I say, bro.
It's okay, but first of all, I think you're mistaking me for the other guy that was in here that was a software developer. I'm a chip designer. I work in semiconductors, so
Cool.
yeah.
No, I appreciate that, but I'm just trying to bring it to the level. So the more complex, the more the system becomes. Yeah. So for instance, that's why you have dogs.
Listen,
They
man.
have, like,
Hey,
limited
Luigi,
cognition.
I need you to do me a favor. I need you to track linearly and actually respond to anything that I've said at all since you've been up here, other than just constantly shifting to some new subject. It's kind of annoying, right?
Right. I'm trying to give you the reasons why I.
No.
believe that,
Luigi,
and I am convinced.
Luigi, I gave you an argument, right? In order
Bro,
to
you
respond to
make a
that,
claim that consciousness is not generated in the.
Listen,
prove it to me that
listen,
it's not.
listen.
Can you prove it that it's not?
listen,
That's
listen.
your claim.
Okay, Luigi, you need to respond to the argument that's been presented to you. How do you respond to the claim that you're making a category error? Do you even know what I mean by category error?
Indeed, I do. Yeah.
What is a category error?
You think that I'm actually you're asking me a question, and I'm responding with something.
No, that's not what a
significant to the- yeah.
that's not what a category error is. That's a burden shift.
Luigi, he basically said the reason that he says consciousness is not generated by the brain is that from the third person facts of the description of the brain, you cannot derive subjective experience because it's a category error. He's asking for your response to that.
No, I don't think you're arguing in good faith. I'm just gonna go. I thought this was like a genuine.
Yeah, it's just tough, dude.
Tracking issues.
Well, it's not really just tracking. It's like, I want to come up here and talk about why I think is wrong with your view.
Bloviate over nonsense. BT3, what's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
I'm relatively new to philosophy of mind, so I don't have any strong contentions. I was kind of just wondering if I could get your perspective
No,
on.
just kidding. Yeah, what you got, man?
Yeah, so I think I'm leaning more towards physicalism, and I think one of the more convincing points I've heard is that it seems to be the case if someone suffers from like a brain injury, this specifically relates to
Can I stop
them,
you there?
like- yeah, for sure.
Okay, look, this is just trivially true, right? Like there is a correlation between what we call mental states and what we call brain states. It's also trivially true and not controversial that this kind of data does not solve or give reason to favor one view over another, right? The category of empirics is underdetermined for this conversation. Everybody agrees that there are
Let me ask this real quick. Let me interject with something very simple here. If what you said was true, that just like the neuroscience of consciousness proves physicalism, would there be like debates going on about this still? Wouldn't it be over already? Like with all the correlative data that there is, if that actually like determined what ontology is true?
Yeah, it would certainly at least be more than 52% physicalism. Like if you go and look at anyway, that's kind of irrelevant. The point is that data does
point.
not.
You're saying the data is just totally irrelevant to the question.
Right.
So that's the problem.
You need to
that's
have.
why you're leaning towards physicalism. It's there's something
Very
missing,
naive. It's very naive.
from your understanding of what that data means.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being naive?
That is naive. To take that look, we get it all the time, bro. But yes, that's naive.
Let me be like charitable too and explain why. Like, so
Yeah,
I'm just going to do
please.
the radio analogy real quick. So if you let's just imagine a world, and I'm going to start this by saying we are not saying the brain is a radio. That's not what I'm saying right now. But let's
I
imagine
understand. Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah, okay. So imagine a world where there are a bunch of radios everywhere, but we don't know like how they work at all, right? And we find out that if we like mess with the electronics inside with a screwdriver and smash them up, we either change the music or we stop the music entirely. It's coming out of the radio. If we scan the electronics with some sort of tool that can track the electrical signals within the radio, we can see that the electrical signals correlate very, very well with the music coming out of the radio. And then from just this data, this is what we know. We say, I'm going to conclude that that means the radio generates the music, right? We would be wrong about that, right? And so this is just showing that the kind of data we have does not bear on, like, isn't sufficient to draw the conclusion of cause. It's just correlation. And the problem is that under idealism or physicalism, correlation is expected.
Yeah, that correlation is expected under many different theses, however you're supposed to say that word. The data is therefore underdetermined. That data, specifically.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. So you guys would say that even though there's information that suggests that there's a correlation between physical structures in the brain and mental states, this wouldn't be the cause of the mental states of the consciousness?
You could take it to be the cause, but you would be...
But it would be a misinterpretation of the data.
I mean, yeah, I mean, correlation is not... Correlation...
Sorry, you can say that a cause, it's possible, the thesis is possible, but in order to then conclude it, you'd have to also have a causal mechanism that explains it. Because otherwise we just have a correlation and you could say, well, it could be this or it could be something else.
Okay, and... interesting.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, no, sorry, continue.
I was just going to say, like, by causal mechanism, he means a scientific reduction. So when we, like, if I wanted you to give me the mechanism by which, like, the wheels turn on my car, or just say the mechanism by which my car is driving down the road, like, how is that possible? Like, how is that the case? Like, I would give you this scientific reduction, or basically a story, telling you how, exactly that occurs, like, from the engine and all that, right? Like the combustion in the cylinders. I could give you a deductive mathematical description of that entire process. That's what we mean by mechanism, right? And that just does not exist. All we have are correlations.
And the problem is too, if you like, let's say that, like, let's use an example of the actual thing we're talking about. Let's say, that, you wanted to explain how, like, you have some experience of seeing something, right? And we can say, okay, there's like, photons incident on like light cones in your eyes, which basically stimulate an optic nerve where there's an electrical signal that is sent to the brain in the visual cortex. Then we see this brain activity and neurons firing in a certain pattern. And then you see, you have this objective experience of seeing the thing that we're describing. That last step, we can't even imagine like how that just derives from the mechanistic explanation. Like any kind of mechanistic explanation you could give, there's not even an imaginable way that...
I forgot all about my effects, dude. Yeah. Damn it, I haven't been using...
Yeah, for the same reason that there's no way that you can imagine that if you write a detailed description of food on a menu and you just make it super, super detailed, that suddenly you'd be able to eat the menu. It just doesn't track. It's a category error.
Here, give me 1 second because I want to write that down. Menu.
Somebody asked, how is emergence not an explanation. Emergence is a placeholder for what we don't understand. To say it emerges, you have to like break it down into two. I mean, go ahead, BT. I don't know. I don't want to like.
Yeah, so I guess, like, let's say someone is in a persistent vegetative state because of a brain injury. You guys would say that this would be correlative rather than like a causal chain.
Yeah, I
right?
would even go so far as I could use the language that what we call a brain is a necessary condition for expression of certain like wakefulness, for example. But yeah, it just doesn't support the conclusion that the brain is a sufficient explanation of mental states of subjectivity.
Sorry, if I'm taking pauses throughout, it's just because I'm writing this stuff down to kind of reference to later.
Yeah, no problem.
So if you guys don't mind me asking, do you think that consciousness is immaterial? Like, are you guys dualists?
No, we're idealists. So
Okay.
the material is actually doesn't exist. It's just an appearance. Everything is immaterial. Everything is non-physical.
So you think that everything is kind of composed of different mental states?
Yes, exactly. I mean, I don't know about the like exact language, but yeah, everything in reality is reducible to universal, transpersonal mental states.
And it's for the reason that I mentioned that, like, you get to this thing where you realize that you can't eat the menu, and it's because you reverse the order of the cause. Because it's actually the physical that is an appearance in the mental, not the other way around. Like when we look in consciousness, we see a brain. When we look in a brain, we don't see consciousness, right? So
Yeah.
this is the problem.
Yeah, I heard the thing that kind of made me on the fence is someone said something along the lines of like, if you like think of a square, you can envision a square, but you can't cut the brain open and see like a square, something along those lines.
Right.
Okay, I just have one more question, then I'll hop off. But this was just a contention to idealism that someone else gave me, so I'm curious of how you guys would respond. But essentially, they said that idealism can't account for like physical things existing before people. So would you guys have any thoughts on that, or?
We would say physical things don't exist at all before or after people, but in terms of actually existing, because physical things to us are defined by our sense perception. In other words, what makes the physical properties appear, right, is our measurement. And so that doesn't mean the world doesn't exist prior to people, but it means that it's not physical.
There's no reason to believe physical things exist in any capacity rather than just appearances within human sense perception.
And another thing, like you can imagine this way, like, and I don't know, this is probably going off of what that particular objection was about, because there's an assumption in that objection.
Yeah.
The assumption is this. The assumption is that consciousness is something that is generated by the brain because it's something humans have, right? And we're saying consciousness is fundamental. It's the fundamental substrate of all reality. So there's a confusion here because you think, well, if you think everything is consciousness, that means you think nothing existed before humans. But that's only because the physicalist assumption is baked into the question.
I see. Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys answering some of my questions.
Sure.
Yeah, check out, if you want a primer on this, just to understand the
Yeah,
view,
if you guys could
look up
suggest
a
me
YouTube
some
series called the
readings.
Analytic Idealism Course with Bernardo Castro. It just walks through the view and the problems with physicalism in a way that if you have questions about this, it'll answer a lot better and like more, organized than we are here. And then come back.
Yeah, awesome. I appreciate the recommendation. Thanks, God.
Cool. Take it easy, man.
Appreciate it, bro. Shivam, man.
What the
Castro
fuck?
isn't alive.
Damn it! This glitching ass TikTok, dude. It made me zoom out.
So I have a quick.
We're gonna end soon, Henry, just to let you know. But yeah, what's up, man?
I know it's fast. So
Mhm.
it may be weird, okay? Are we having this experience? Do we really have it? The experience that we're having right now?
Experience exists. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So where?
Asking where is, we've said this a million times, but asking where is a category error, bro. Like,
It's happening in consciousness.
yeah, that's where.
I'm just leading in accord with say, isn't it?
Huh?
Okay.
Oh, fuck, Henry.
The fact that we're having this experience and it's a common experience.
It's not going well, Henry.
And
You're breaking up, bro.
we know that
It's not going well.
experience. Do we keep?
It's not going well, Henry.
Do we keep it or not?
It's not going well, dude. This is Henry's Wi-Fi.
I'm stay quick. What is it? Where is it?
Bro, we can't hear you. You're like breaking up really
Do we
bad.
keep it or not? Do we keep it?
Do we keep what, bro?
The experience or is lost? The experience. Is it recorded somewhere or it's not recorded? Or is it just in the ether?
I don't know, man. Genuinely, I don't even know what it means to record in this way.
Well, we have it, right? We're having it somewhere. I don't know where, but somewhere it's we're having it somewhere, or somehow. So how come we can have that experience and then lose it when we lose whatever we believe that was the body?
I don't know what it means to lose experiences.
Okay, we're having an experience. We're agree with that. But where? Then we don't want to disclose that. We don't want to go into that. But is there like a hardware where we have our experiences, or we don't want to go online?
Bro, your mic is fucking dog shit, dude. What is going on with your microphone, brother? This is Henry's microphone. This is what it looks like.
Henry, you got your signal back?
Yeah, we're trying. I'm just trying to say that we're having an experience, but when we lose the body that wasn't real, does the experience stay or not?
Do you think the body is like an actual thing? Is that I mean, your view is not that the body is like, you're not a dualist, right? You don't think there's a physical body and then there's a soul or something like that?
Well, I want to figure out.
Okay, well, for us, the body is just what the mind looks like, right? So if your body is gone, right, the you that's Henry, right, that perspective is also not present, right?
So it's lost, is what you're saying.
No, I'm not saying it's lost. Like, imagine this: if you're a whirlpool in the ocean, right? Like just a thing the ocean is doing, and the whirlpool stops whirling, right? The water is not lost.
Well, in the whirlpool is not really lost either. I mean, it's not a thing. A whirlpool is not a thing that can be lost. It was never a thing to begin with.
Let's show the thing. Hold on.
I don't have it. You got to show it.
I have it. I should have it. I just got to figure out the stupid.
Thinking you're a thing instead of being.
Well, I think that nothing is lost. Nothing is lost.
Always do this.
You got your damn penny loafers on, bro. I see you. Show your feet. We might get more viewers.
Oh yeah. Everyone's looking for that.
Just because I'm a whirlpool, that doesn't mean that I'm not part of the sea. And when the whirlpool is not there, but I'm become part of the sea, right? Or not?
Look, Henry, you see how there's my mental process and then your mom's mental process is getting really close? This is this, the situation. All right,
You
I'm
know what's
just
going to
kidding.
happen if you're not careful, host? Like you're going to have a third. You're going to have a third whirlpool.
Yeah. Yeah, with your Yep. All right, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Anyway, Henry, I'm just kidding. So, like, does this make sense?
Well, it makes sense, but then I don't know. I think that nothing is lost. And
I don't think anything is lost either. I don't think it even. I think saying that it's lost is like a mistake of language, because a whirlpool is not a thing to begin with. It can't be lost. It's not a thing. It's not an object.
okay, where the people experience doesn't matter what you're saying. It's just a whirlpool, and when it's done, it's done. That's it. I don't know how can that be. What is that creates the whirlpool?
Nothing.
The whirlpool.
It's not a thing. It's not created. Right?
What is it that? How is
It's
it
a
that
process. A whirlpool is a process. That process is called dissociation.
Okay, where is the problem when we say the word? I'm not meaning that a space specifically physically, but consciousness has to be somehow, right?
No.
And
No.
no.
No. It's not created, bro. It just is.
Well, okay, but to express something, where the expression of consciousness?
What?
If we're the expression of consciousness, then for some reason we can have it.
What do you mean by where? Like you're using this term where a lot. I'm just trying to understand what you mean.
I don't have another word to use.
Okay, so there's no like where usually talks about a location, right? And you're not mean that. So
Okay, I cannot detect where consciousness is. That's one point that I have. Okay, so I don't know where consciousness is. So
it's in you. You're it.
Okay, perfect. So whenever you describe something, consciousness is whatever.
How about this? It's everywhere. That's a good one. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Look at the trees. Look, host. Look at the trees.
So okay, good. Well,
No, I'm serious though. Like, it's not in a location, right? Locations are in consciousness, not the other way around.
Yeah, but whatever the consciousness is, or whatever conscious is or not, or whatever the entity or whatever the stuff, or I don't know how to describe it, we are there, expressing ourselves from there.
Oh my
through
God.
the mind.
Your mic actually is not bad anymore.
Maybe it's because I'm cooking, because I'm part Mexican, so.
Were you cooking that whole time? I mean,
No,
I know we were cooking, but were you cooking?
What
too?
you cooking, bro?
Yeah, I'm cooking.
So,
I'm
what are you
cooking
cooking?
Nice hamburgers.
Oh.
Super nice hamburgers.
You told me you were part Listen, you just said I'm cooking because I'm part Mexican. So of course I'm thinking you're cooking Mexican food. Then you say fucking
Enchiladas.
hamburgers, dude. Then you say
Dude, what?
hamburgers, bro.
I'm betting that both of you cooking hamburgers.
You have to
or
use the
enchiladas.
effect for hamburger. You have to
That's
use
the
you have to
fact.
use the effect for cooking hamburgers.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Well, okay, I just want to make the jump, guys.
I thought you were making maybe some carne asada or some fucking
okay,
you know.
tomorrow I'm
Oh,
gonna
you know
make
what I
some
like?
enchiladas.
Never mind. It don't matter.
Okay.
It don't matter.
Well, my whole point is that I believe that there's nothing lost, and then our experience is like kind of like recorded somewhere, maybe in consciousness or something that we don't out of time. I believe that we still have our own consciousness when we pass, because you don't have the radio doesn't mean that consciousness is not expressing.
As long as you
are
know
the thing
that
you
as long as you know that that's a belief that you're just
of course.
choosing to believe, whatever, bro. Do what you do.
Well, how about this? How about this? Like when you wake up from a dream, Henry, and you had a dream as a dream character, and now the dream character is gone, right? But you had that dream as that dream character, and you remember it, right? Have you lost anything? Was the dream character really anything other than you the whole time?
It lives in me.
There you go. And you are consciousness in this case, right?
Yes.
So
It doesn't
so- and
continue
that's-
on. Sorry.
How do you know that?
Well,
How do you know
but
that?
the dream, because bro, like you can see it for yourself. The dream character does not continue on, other than you just remember what you were dreaming about, like that.
But
That's it.
part of the experience, right? Like when you read a book and there's characters there, and you connect more with one character than another one in a book. That doesn't mean that the character doesn't exist. The character lives
but
in
the
you.
dream is over, right? Like when you stop, let's say with a dream rather than the book. Like the dream is over, that dream is over, and it doesn't mean it's like out of consciousness. It means it's just no longer happening.
Okay, guys, I gotta end this live. I gotta go. I gotta end the live.
Tomorrow I'm gonna make enchiladas. I'm gonna send you pictures.
Oh, okay. All right, sounds good. Okay.
Some of the hamburger.
Peace out,
See ya.
everybody. Goodbye, viewers. My beloved viewers. We will see you next time. Signing out.